Jay Calderon, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man.
Jay Calderon has his own YouTube channel, Facebook. We'll talk about that a little later. Kovalev versus Ward. The internet blew up last night. Twitter, everyone's talking about it. The robbery. Is that how you saw it? What were your thoughts on it?
I mean, I didn't see it as a robbery. It was a great fight. I think it was a classic fight. I had did a video stating that Andre Ward would win a 12-round decision. I thought that he would outbox Kovalev in this fight, but it lived up to the hype. I had my skeptics about it. I thought it wasn't going to live up to the hype. I thought it would be like a snoozer, like a Manny Pacquiao and Mayweather fight, ugly fight, but it actually turned out to be a very, very good fight. I mean, a fight that a lot of fans will rewatch this fight over and over again. And you got a lot of people on both sides of the end that, are fans of both, and they saw their guy winning the fight. You got the Kovalev fans that saw him doing enough to win, and you saw the Andre Ward fans seeing Ward pull out the fight. And they just gave us a great fight. They both did what they were supposed to do in order to give us a great fight. Kovalev looked strong. He was able to press Andre Ward throughout the fight. He was landing a beautiful jab that was snapping the head of Andre Ward, and he was pushing him up against the ropes, and he was landing those big shots. He landed that clean right hand that just dropped Andre Ward. He had Ward hurt, but Ward showed the heart of a true champion. He was able to weather the storm. A lot of guys would have not come back from a punch like that. A lot of guys would have got finished after getting dropped like that. But Ward was able to collect himself. I saw Kovalev actually on cruise control for the first 4 to 5 rounds. I think I gave Ward 1 round out of those first 5, because I saw Kovalev actually just dominating the first 4 rounds at least. But after the 5th round, you saw Ward getting back into the fight. He started landing his own jab. He was landing a really nice jab against Kovalev's jab, and he started getting some body work in, and he started just etching closer and closer. And I think maybe the body work, it wasn't a lot, but I think some of those body shots kind of slowed down Kovalev because his punch output started to drop. And also, he started to look a little bit fatigued, like he was starting to gas out. He still had some good moments in the later rounds, but I saw Andre Ward closing the show a little bit fresher. I saw him able to land his shots and look the better of the two down the stretch. I think I gave him like the last 3 of the 4 rounds at the end of the fight to make it a very close fight. And you could argue that this fight was definitely a draw. There's a lot of people saying that it should have been a draw because it could have went either way. But I think the factor is that I saw Andre Ward not winning more than 5 rounds in this fight. And you could give him 6 rounds. If you want to give him 6 rounds as the benefit of the doubt, because he did come back in the second half of this fight and he looked really good down the stretch. But even that knockdown should have been a factor. That's a 2-point round. And all the judges scored it by a 1-point margin. So you can't call it a robbery because the scores wasn't ridiculous. Like we've seen many fights in the past where the scores are just horrendous and it's like, straight up robbery. This was a 1-point margin. This is like, all across the board, all 3 judges gave it a 1-point victory for Andre Ward. I just felt like the knockdown is a 2-point round. It's a very close fight. Even if both guys won 6 rounds apiece, that's a 2-point round that should have gave that 1-point victory in favor of Kovalev instead of Ward. So at best, it should have been a draw, but not a victory for Andre Ward. But, it is what it is. The judges gave him the narrow 1-point victory, and it was a great fight. Nobody lost in this fight because the fans were the true winners because it wasn't a stinker. It was a great, exciting fight. People were on the edge of their seats. They both saw their guys doing really well. These guys have a lot to be proud of because they gave the fans a great show. And I definitely want to see a rematch. And I'm pretty sure every boxing fan, whether you're a Kovalev fan or an Andre Ward fan, I believe that they want to see a rematch. And I don't see there's no other fight out there. There's no Adonis Stevenson fight that's going to happen for Kovalev or for Andre Ward because of Rock Nation and Al Heyman. So I don't see that fight happening for Andre Ward next. Both guys are HBO fighters. There's no other fight out there for Andre Ward to fight. People saying he's going to move up to heavyweight. We saw that Andre Ward kind of struggled with a bigger guy and a stronger guy like Kovalev. So to say he's going to go up to heavyweight to face an even bigger guy or even cruiserweight, I think that's asking too much for Andre Ward. I think That's not a good move for him. Light heavyweights are big guys for him, and we've seen them against, guys like Sullivan Barrera, where he was able to dominate a guy like that, a big guy, a strong guy. But we saw the top of the class, which is Kovalev, that he fought really well against Kovalev. He had the experience factor in there. This guy has been around for quite some time, since the Super Six. He is a technical boxer. He's a very smart guy. He has a great ring IQ. And we saw the heart of a true champion, that he was able to weather the storm, get dropped, get back into this fight, and make it at least to be close enough to be a draw with such a great fighter like Kovalev. So, I was going for Kovalev in this fight, but I felt in my heart, and I made a statement in my videos that I saw that Andre Ward was going to win a 12-round decision. It wasn't going to be a knockout. It wasn't going to be a blowout. That it was going to be, probably a stinker, but Ward, pulling out the victory. But it wasn't a stinker. It was a great fight, and both guys deserve a rematch.
What do you make of all three judges having the exact same score? Sure enough, they scored the rounds differently, but they all came out with the same score, 114 to 113. This, in particular, seemed to disturb people the most.
Honestly, I didn't really get a chance to look at the scorecards of each judge to see how they scored what rounds and everything. I scored them basically, just seeing each round, like who's doing more, who's landing more, who's landing the cleaner punches, who's more effective, who's more aggressive. And I saw that for Kovalev for the first half of the fight. He was the more aggressive fighter. If everybody scored the fight differently, like the fans scored the fight differently, you have the Andre Ward fans and the Kovalev fans, they're scoring the fight the way they do, mostly on biasness and mostly on heart of their guy doing the better job and everything like that. These judges, I wouldn't say they got it wrong. I wouldn't say, it was a robbery, like people are screaming that it's a robbery. These guys saw the fight differently. It was a close fight, man. If you look at the punch output on each round, it was like, I think 6 rounds where Andre Ward outscored Kovalev by like 1 punch. 6 rounds by 1 punch. So if he landed like 11 punches in the round, Kovalev landed 10. So that's how close of a fight this was. So you got to look at the aspect of who landed the harder punches. Who was the more aggressive person in the fight that was backing up the other fighter? Both of them were landing really good jabs. Andre Ward's jab started looking really good in the second half of the fight. And Kovalev's jab was powerful. It was snapping the head back of Andre Ward time and time again. So you got to look at it like it's all about what do you like. Some judges probably like the technical aspect of Andre Ward, the way he was able to come back into this fight and technically take on. Some people like the aggressiveness of Kovalev. It's all about opinion factor. And the judges, they all saw it as a close fight the way all of us saw it as a close fight. No fan can say the other person got beat up. No fan can say that this was a blowout. People were saying that Kovalev was going to knock out Andre Ward. Didn't happen. People said that Andre Ward was going to make Kovalev look silly and outbox him and out-hustle him and outwork him. And that wasn't even a big factor either. He did well enough to earn at least a draw or a 1-point victory the way the judge scored it. It was that close of a fight. It could have went either way. That 1-point victory by all 3 judges shows how good of a fight this was and how hard it was to score, because it all depended on what did you like. You like the technical aspect of Ward, or did you like the aggressiveness of Kovalev? And the judges saw it for Andre Ward. 1 point each. That's a close fight.
Well, in fact, if you look at the scorecards, Ward does not win until and after the 12th round.
I saw him, like I said, winning three of the last 4 rounds. He closed the show. He definitely closed the show.
Now, you mentioned aggression, backing the other fighter up. I have to challenge you on this. To me, it's about effective aggression. Backing the other fighter up when he's a natural counterpuncher, how do you score with that?
Well, the way I was seeing it, I was seeing the jab being a factor. The jab for Kovalev was just basically pushing Ward back to the ropes and snapping his head back and everything, and he was coming forward. Ward was moving away most of the time, backing up most of the time, and Kovalev was able to land some good right hands. He was doing more work with the jab. I just score him landing more of the cleaner shots than what Ward was doing. I didn't see Ward really doing anything in those early rounds. Like I said, I think the first 4 rounds, I think I scored it straight for Kovalev.
Oh, Kovalev clearly won the first third of the fight. There's no doubt about that on anybody's card.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like the beginning of the fight was all Kovalev because of that aggression, because of him moving forward, coming forward, and just looking like he was on cruise control. But the second half is where you saw, Ward getting into his comfort zone and settling in and figuring him out. And then all of a sudden it looked like Kovalev was started to fatigue because, his punch output just started, dropping. He wasn't as aggressive as he was in the beginning of the fight. He looked like, some people say he looked like he was lost. I heard a lot of people saying that he looked like he was lost. He looked more fatigued to me than actually being lost because I didn't see anything that Andre Ward was doing to make him look lost. Andre Ward was landing a very good jab, countering his jab, and he was landing a couple of good shots. He started working the body on the inside. I thought Andre Ward coming into the fight was actually going to make it an ugly fight. I thought he was going to be able to hold excessively in this fight, and I didn't see a lot of holding by Andre Ward, which kind of shocked me because I expected Andre Ward to come in and do a lot of holding in this fight against the bigger man, try to smother his punches and everything like that. And Andre Ward did something totally different. This guy, I'm not an Andre Ward fan, but I respect this man because he is, to me, coming into this fight, he was pound for pound the number 2 guy because in my book I had nobody as the pound for pound number 1 best fighter in the world after Floyd Mayweather retired. I had that spot vacant, but I had Andre Ward a hard second to the throne, and I said that if he won this fight, that he would be number 1 pound for pound best fighter in the world. And he's earned that. He's earned that. If you look at his resume up and down, what he's done from the Super Six, I know a lot of people, say that was a long time ago and he shouldn't get credit right now. Everything is about what have you done for me lately. And I understand that, but, you can't dismiss that. He's had a lot of problems with injury and promotional issues that has kept him out of the ring, bad business decisions. But, this man is always willing to face the best fighters. His resume speaks for himself and he always finds a way to win. And he fought the most dangerous light heavyweight in the division and he put up a fight, man. He showed in that fight, he didn't roll over when he got dropped. He was able to climb back into this fight and finish off strong. So you got to give him respect. You got to give him respect. I tip my hat off to him because he is a great fighter. He's a special type of fighter.
You and I were chatting before the show, and, both of us, we've been watching boxing from the early 80s onwards. You a little longer than I. You would remember the 15-rounders. If this fight had gone 15 rounds, how do you see it ending?
I think Andre Ward, I see Andre Ward cleaning Sergey Kovalev. Like I said, Kovalev, his punch output dropped, and towards the end, he didn't look like the fresher of the two. Andre looked the fresher of the two. He finished off the last 3 to 4 rounds strong. So if it would have went 15 rounds, I would have gave the stamina and the experience and the skill factor to Kovalev to finish him off. I don't think he would have knocked him out. I'm not saying he would have knocked off Kovalev, but definitely he would have dominated even more if this fight would have went longer, because it started to come apart for Kovalev at the end. Kovalev was still strong, but he wasn't the same the way he started the fight. When he started the fight, he was great. Like I said, he was on cruise control. But after the 5th round, second half of the fight comes in, his punch output definitely dropped, and he started to look fatigued. And, Andre Ward, he pulled it out, towards the end.
Well, there were moments in that 10th round, right around the time Kovalev's nose was bleeding, that Ward was starting to kind of pick him apart a little bit. He was starting to showboat, do the bolo punch. He got caught on the one.
Yeah, I know, but listen, Ward has never been a big puncher. That Chad Dawson fight was just basically a sign of Dawson coming down in weight when he shouldn't have, and he was able to blow out Chad Dawson. But if you look at his other fights and everything like that, who else did he really blow out against the strong guys that he fought in the super middleweight division? He's never been a big puncher. He's a decent puncher. He has respect. He'll gain your respect. You know what I mean? Once you hit him, you know, you're definitely going to feel his power, but he's not a big puncher. And I wouldn't have seen him knocking out Kovalev. Kovalev has a good chin. Kovalev has a really good chin, you know, whether he got bloodied or not and everything. He has a good chin, and he definitely, even if this fight would have went 15 rounds, unless he would have got totally gassed out where, you know, you have to throw in the towel because this guy had nothing left. If it would have went 15 rounds, that's a different situation. That would have been more of exhaustion than anything else. But as far as getting knocked out, stop, nah.
Is Ward past his prime?
Nah, not at all.
Really?
Not at all. He's still in his prime. He's still in his prime. I mean, this fight proved it. This fight proved it. You know what I mean? He's 32 years old. He's still a fairly young guy. He's not an old guy, you know, and you know, a lot of people was talking about his performances against Barrera, you know, against the other guy, Alexander Brand, you know, that he didn't look spectacular, that he should have, you know, beat these guys more convincingly. I mean, he did well, you know what I mean? And I guess he wasn't up for those fights, you know what I mean? The way he was up for last night. He was really up for it. You could see that he was in the zone, but I think in the beginning of the fight, he felt Kovalev's power. He was like, wow, you saw a look of worriness on his face. I don't want to hear anybody say anything different because when you saw Ward's face, it's like he expected Kovalev to probably be a different type of fighter, and he saw how good Kovalev was because Kovalev had a great jab in the beginning of the fight, and he was strong, and he dropped him. And, you know, Ward's only been down once before, and that was against Boone. So that was a serious shot that he caught him with, and a lot of guys would not come back from a shot like that. So you got to say that if Andre Ward was able to get back into this fight the way he did, you can't say that he's past his prime because he fought the best. He just fought the best in the division.
He got up off the canvas and found a way to win the fight. And oddly enough, in my Kovalev versus Ward prediction show with Eric Lorta, we had discussed Shane Mosley when he fought Vernon Forrest and he got dropped in the second round, and Mosley never recovered. He never recovered mentally. He just he just finished the fight, right? And that was in the second round. He had another 10 rounds to go, and he just sort of finished the fight in a losing fashion. And it was weird because we had talked about this, and the very same thing happened. And just like I had said in that video with Eric, yeah, but Ward's a different guy. He's mentally far stronger than Mosley. And it was that mental toughness, that fortitude that won him the fight.
He has it, of course. Heart of a champion. Heart of a champion. This guy is a smart guy. He has a great boxing IQ. He hasn't lost since he was 12 years old. You know what I mean? He was an outstanding amateur, won the Olympic gold medal, and you know he's felt like the best ever since he entered the Super Six when he was the underdog. When he entered the Super Six, you know, guys like, you know, Mikhail Kessler and guys like Arthur Abraham, those guys were considered like the favorites, you know, to come out on top. Not even Carl Froch. And Froch was considered the better of the two coming into the fight. But Ward had that mentality. I'm the best, and he proved it time and time again. I'm more of a knockout type of boxer. Like I said, Tommy the Hitman Hearns is my favorite fighter of all time. I like knockouts. I like guys that like to bang. But, you know, I do respect guys like Ward and Floyd Mayweather and these guys because, you know, they embrace the sweet science and they are just classic boxers. These guys are just awesome. They're magicians in the ring. They know how to technically break you down and take over the fight. And you got to give them respect. You have to. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that are biased and that, you know, they're haters or whatever, but that's not me. That's not my style. I give everybody my opinion. I tell people how it is. I say, you know, I like this guy. I'm rooting for this guy to win, but, you know, I know that this guy is a superior fighter than my guy. I mean, so we just have to see how the fights play out.
You like the knockouts.
I like the power guy.
Yeah, but we were talking before, and you mentioned Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea is one of... Yeah, but Sweet Pea wasn't a big puncher, man. Sweet Pea, what I liked about Sweet Pea, and he's one of my top 3 fighters of all time that I love. Sweet Pea, it was this defensiveness. Like, to me, he had the best defense I've ever seen in boxing. Like, the way he just, you know, ducked down from punches and made you miss. This guy basically was all the way down to his ankles. And it was just crazy just to see the way he moved. He was like a magician in that ring, and I was just always amazed. But he wasn't a big puncher. I mean, he had a decent power, but he was never a big puncher. He had a good jab, he had quick hands, and he had great movement. And I love that about him was his defense.
He was more aggressive than Mayweather, though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I say when you look at both of them early in their careers, Sweet Pea in the lightweight division and Floyd in the junior lightweight, yeah, I would go with Sweet Pea being more aggressive.
Well, I remember Mayweather is the guy that knocked Corrales down 5 times in one fight, right? So let's say in 6 months Mayweather returns. Do you put Mayweather back into that pound-for-pound #1 slot, or is it Ward's now?
Ooh, that's a tough question, and they even they even asked that question to Andre Ward before this Kovalev fight. I saw an interview that he did with someone, and they asked him. He said, it was even hard for him to say because, of course, he always wants to say he's #1, but you got to give Floyd his respect, man. I'm definitely not a Floyd Mayweather fan, but hands down, I give that man utmost respect that he's done enough in the sport, and he's proven time and time that he's the best fighter of his generation, not of all time like he likes to call himself. He calls himself TBE. I wouldn't say that, you know what I mean? But he's definitely the best fighter of his generation, and that's hard when you build that pedestal up, that legacy. You kind of got to give the guy a pass and say, this guy is the king. He's the king. So if he comes out, and, he hasn't been away 5 years. Let's be honest. It's been 2015 when he fought Pacquiao, and his last fight was last September. So it's been over a year that he's been out of the ring. And I said that he was going to leave for about 2 years, before he steps back in the ring. I believe he'll probably come back in September of 2017. So that would be a 2-year absence from the ring, and that's kind of something like he did before when he had his first retirement. He was out for like a year and a half before he came back to fight Marquez. So this is a pattern that Floyd likes to show and everything. So I expect him to come back, and if he comes back, Ward, I don't know if I'm really to give him the pound to pound. I said that if he wins the fight that he will get pound for pound, but this was a close fight, man. This was a very, very close fight. And there's a lot of people on the fence about this fight. You got people saying he lost. You got people saying there was a robbery. You got people saying that it was a draw. You got people saying that he won and Kovalev won. So, I think they have to do it again. They definitely have to do it again to really, really state that claim for pound. You just can't give it to Wardle for this fight. It was that close of a fight that, it wasn't decisive. You want to see a guy become pound for pound the best fighter in the world. A lot of people, and I love Chocolatito. I love Roman Gonzalez. This kid, I've watched him come up, and I'm so happy that he's got on HBO and he's gotten his shine, and what 2K has done to help him with the promotion here in the United States, because I've been watching him for a while, and this kid is the best in the lower weight classes. But when he fought that last fight against this dude, the Mexican kid, Carlos, what was his name? Last name? I forgot. But I thought he lost the fight. I thought he lost the fight against him. I didn't see Chocolatito pulling out that fight. It was a great fight. It was an excellent fight. But I kind of saw him coming up short in that fight, and he got the victory. So, I don't put him as pound for pound the best fighter in the world. I think he's one of the top 10 best fighters in the world. He's a great fighter. He's a future Hall of Famer without a question or doubt. He's definitely a future Hall of Famer. But I don't put him as #1. Like I said, I had that spot vacant after Floyd Mayweather left. And if Floyd decides to come back, I think right now, until Kovalev and Ward fight again and we see decisively Ward beating Kovalev convincingly, then I don't think he keeps that #1 spot if Floyd comes back.
Last question before we talk about your Facebook and your YouTube channel. Who wins the rematch?
Man, I don't know. I mean, it all depends on what Kovalev does different. We already seen what Ward is capable of. We've seen what Ward was able to overcome. He was able to overcome the knockdown. So he got to feel Kovalev's power.
Maybe he's already figured Kovalev out. And now the next
Yeah,
fight, it'll be a
yeah,
much easier fight. He knows what to avoid.
exactly. I said that Ward is a special type of fighter. Kovalev is an outstanding fighter. He's the best in his division. He's a strong physical guy. He has good boxing skills as well. Great jab, tremendous power. But we saw what Ward was able to do. That special type of fighter is able to rise to the occasion, figure out their opponents, and technically he has the boxing gift to get back in a fight like this and make it that close to pull out a 1 point victory. You know, so the the rematch of this fight, I mean, Ward definitely knows what to expect now. We've seen what Kovalev could do. It depends on what Kovalev could change. If Kovalev could do something different, which we don't know. We don't know if Kovalev could do anything better than he did. What Kovalev did was probably his best. We saw the best of Kovalev, and it was just enough to get a 1 point victory on his favor or a draw. So in a rematch, you could expect Andre Ward, the more gifted fighter, to know what not to do the next time around and do something better in order to get more of a convincing victory second time around. So I would love to see it, though.
In his post-fight comments, Sergey Kovalev says, well, I just wanted to have a nice fight with the guy and just show my boxing ability. What's that about? What's wrong with people?
I haven't even got to listen to both of their post-fight interviews and everything like that because I was in a bar watching the fight, and it was loud in there, so I didn't really get to hear not even what HBO was talking about, because a lot of people was making comments that HBO was just like running off with Kovalev in this fight. So I didn't get to hear what they were even saying, but I got to catch up on their post-fight interviews and stuff like that and see what Andre Ward was saying, Kovalev saying.
Well, it's just I don't quite understand why a fighter chooses to fight another boxer in their style to prove somehow that they can compete with it's like Sugar Ray Leonard losing to Duran, fighting in a way you didn't have to.
Yeah, listen, it's pride. It's pride. It's pride. It's funny because I know you're a big UFC guy and stuff, and I really don't watch UFC, but I had told my friend about Ronda Rousey when she fought this chick, the boxer that was fighting her, that beat her, Heather, that was her name.
Holly Holm?
Yeah, when Holly Holm fought Ronda Rousey, I had told one of my friends, I was like, listen, I said, she's going to lose. I said, because Ronda Rousey has this chip on her shoulder that she wants to prove that she could do better in boxing than the person that's the boxer. Instead of doing her ground game, instead of doing what she does best, her judo, she's going to try to box this girl, and it's going to backfire on her. And you saw that in the previous fight that she fought against some Brazilian girl, and the Brazilian girl was kind of nice with the hands, that she could box as well and everything like that, but she wasn't a professional boxer. She could just do, her stand-up really well. And she went in there beating the shit out of her and stopping her in that fight by going toe-to-toe with her. So I knew when she was going into the Holly fight that she was going to try to do the same thing. She was like, this girl's a boxer. She's going to go in there and she's going to show her, because of her ego, that she's going to show that I could beat her at her own game. And it was the wrong game plan. Instead of doing what she does best, it backfired on her and she got her ass kicked. So it's the same thing. Some fighters, they wanna outdo the person in what they do best instead of doing what they do as far as their strengths. Because Kovalev should have just went for the knockout. I saw when he was boxing, he did well though. In the beginning of the fight, he was boxing. He was using that jab. He was moving well. He did well in the first half, and he was boxing. But I wouldn't say that he didn't fight his fight. I saw him doing the best that he could do. Like I said, I thought he won the fight because of the knockdown only. I scored the fight 114 to 112. I gave him 7 rounds, and the 2 points for the knockdown was the margin on my scorecard. It was a close fight.
Hey, we had a good chat, Jamie.
Thank you, man. Thanks. I appreciate having me on the show and everything.
Okay, guys. So Jamie's Facebook page is awesome. I don't know. You get like 100 posts a day there. There's 1,000 comments a day.
Yeah, you could check me out on Facebook at J Calderone Boxing Talk. Please join the Facebook boxing page. I like to go on everybody else's boxing groups and stuff, and I chat in those groups, and I communicate with everybody. I got my boxing page. A lot of people like to comment. They like to post and stuff, man. Please feel free to come by. Join the boxing group on Facebook, J. Calderone Boxing Talk. I also have a Twitter page called J. Calderone Boxing. You can find me on Twitter. Also on Instagram, it's J. Calderone Boxing Talk on Instagram. I do a lot of posts every day on that Instagram, and also YouTube, man. Subscribe, very important. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, J. Calderone Boxing Talk on YouTube. Please subscribe. I love boxing, and I try to be honest as possible. I'm not biased. I tell you who I like. I tell you who I'm going for, but I always give respect to the other fighter if they're a better fighter than my guy.
All right, so you heard him. Add yourself to his Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that. It's J. Calderon Boxing Talk. Jamie, awesome, man. Thanks so much for chatting. Let's do it again.
Yo, man. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on the show, man. Great show. Great talking.